Hello, 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 everyone. I'm so excited to be able to share my final product, which happens to be my Educator's PR Training Ground Blackboard online course. I have been working on this for the past few months, allocating all of my resources, thinking about necessarily what I'm going to share, thinking about what I'm going to do with this course, and then having to put it all together. So this has taken me a whole semester to do, and I'm very proud of it. So as you can see right now, we're in the student preview mode. This is on. Now this is available for anyone that has Blackboard course sites. If you're signed up to it, you'll be able to see this because this course is now published. And I necessarily, I designed it, and some of the aesthetics you would see is pattern off of AUM courses as something that could possibly be launched through AUM, through Blackboard, through any type of partnership I may have in the near future, because I do plan to partner with someone or something or institution to be able to launch this course and be able to conduct trainings, which will be fantastic. I have such a great interest in strategic communication and public relations and journalism and media and mass media, that I wanted to actually change my major when I was in college. My first undergrad degree when I was at the University of Alabama, and entered circa 2010, fall 2010. And of course, at the time, they did not have a mass media program, so I settled for, I didn't want to go into advertising PR at the time. I didn't know I had an interest in that. I just had an interest in media and entertainment. And I felt that communication and information sciences degree that I received, of course, put in, all the work that I put in was very robust and definitely very needed. So communication studies was that pathway for me in order to receive that degree, and then also to just continue my love just for communications as a whole. So basically what I have to show you guys is, since this is patterned off of AUM, I want to show you guys, of course, what the home page is looking like right here. And as you can see, it does have a peach color because I was going for a orange and black theme to pattern off, of course, the AUM courses. And as you can see, we have here our first announcement, which is the Welcome Aboard class announcement that I have here. I wanted to enable some GIFs, but I'll still try to tweak this course, but I wanted to show that it is at 95% to 100% complete of completion. I will have to delete these a little later, but I'm just showing you guys basically that the class is completed. Now that we went over the announcements, I do have the presenters information. I will have to try to fix that little issue when it comes to the imaging. I put up several different images, and then just due to, I'm using Blackboard original version, and due to some bugs with that, it hasn't really gone through. So I am the presenter of the course. I didn't call myself an instructor because essentially the learning will be done by the educational participants who are my fellow educators. So I didn't necessarily want to have that thing where, oh, okay, I am the instructor. This is like a long-standing professional development where you're taking this course almost as if getting a micro-credential if it was through Microsoft Educator. And instead of this taking a couple of hours or maybe a couple of days to complete a module, this would take approximately 3 months to allow educators the time that's needed to get this certification. I built this similarly to how you would receive your city certification, where you would go through these 18 modules at your own leisure, pass these quizzes with 80% completion or better, and you will receive your city certification. So this essentially, I had it chopped down to about half an academic year for educators to give them time to do it. That's why this course takes about 3 months to do. As you would see, there's no other material that they need. Everything is already placed within the modules. Now, one of these things I am going to do, I am going to edit when it comes to when the Zoom meetings are going to occur. As you will see here, when I go down through the modules, I have placed all pre-recorded lectures within each module. So that's how I will actually set this course up. After speaking with my practicum supervisor, Dr. Timothy Lewis, we you know, he thought it was in educators' best interest if you would just have pre-recorded lectures, and the teachers are able, and instructors are able, and administrators are able to look at these things on their own time, within their own leisure. Because I mean, we're in kind of a hectic state right now. People have families, people have things to do. We are battling a pandemic. This is just at a very unusual time for everyone, and so normally we would not we would meet under normal circumstances, but now we're not. And so this is an accessibility statement from AUM that, of course, we have educators from ranging in different abilities. So I wanted to make sure I place this in to also help individuals that may need assistance within this course. We do have an accessibility statement. That is if I was to partner with AUM. So I went on ahead and used what I've seen posted in my course syllabi when I, being currently a student at AUM, getting ready to graduate with my degree on Saturday. I decided to go ahead and use that. And then this is the first module, and every module, as you can see, has a kind of a code name, and then also the emojis. This is what I use typically with me being a speech instructor at Walls Community College Selma. This is what I use when I do my Microsoft team meetings links. This is what I use in my modules, a lot of GIFs, a lot of emojis, because I know the type of students that I'm teaching, and a lot of them are Gen Z, and so this is what they understand. And so I have each module as being a code name. So the first module introduces you and eases you into the wonderful world and the wonderful, fantastical, and sometimes very fanatical world of public relations. So that's why module 1 is called the PR newbie. So this is the PR newbie module. And so its color is very dark pink, as you can see here, even within this picture of PR. I chose this picture and decided to color code different links that dark pink color. And as you can see, each module will have the overview, the objectives, the reading material. And if I click here, you'll be able to see some of the reading material as I showed Dr. Lewis. A lot of it is allocated from resources that I have available to me from a previous graduate program at Troy University. I graduated with my Master's of Science in Strategic Communication from Troy University. I graduated from the Hall School of Journalism there. And at the time, I got my degree in the mail May 2016, but of course, I walked across that stage July 2016. And so these things I still have resources with. And so I said, well, I was cleared to go ahead and use these resources by my practicum supervisor, decided to go ahead and do this. And then also, since I use a lot of YouTube videos in my current line of work, I decided, well, why not use a few more resources that, of course, I made available to certain students, and then, of course, I'm making available now to the participants of this particular project. So this particular YouTube video, you guys may not be able to hear. I did mute it, but typically with Zoom, you normally don't have different sound that comes through. But this is to show individuals basically PR goals, objectives, strategies, and tactics that are typically employed by those that are PR agents, that are communication specialists, all of that good stuff. I do apologize. I ended up clicking off on that. So let me go back. As you can see, I've had another course I had to do for a class that dealt with recognizing addiction. So I do have some experience with working with Blackboard. But of course, that was module 1. And so each module, in order to complete each module successfully, you will have a quiz that you will need to complete. There are only 5 questions. And then, of course, once you complete them and you're either to 80% completion or higher, you have successfully completed that module. So you're one step closer to receiving your certification, your PR certification from this course. Now, this is my first recorded lecture that I've done, and this is a screen-o-matic presentation. So I'm going to mute that, and I'm going to see here it is. I did upload this whole presentation eventually to YouTube, I believe, and then I just submitted it here. And so you guys can pretty much see that. And again, like I said, everything is color coded. As you can see the links and everything, it is color coded. And then also with quiz 1, I'm going to show you guys basically the goings on with quiz 1. As you can see, it will be material that will be taken strictly from whatever selected readings I used in order to, and it says here that I completed it previously, and I did with showing that to Dr. Lewis, and so I wanted to go ahead and show you guys what with here. So it's going to be really simple things. It's worth 50 points. Each quiz is worth 50 points because the questions are only 5, and they're worth 10 points each. And so again, I wanted to make it so where it's not complex, because we're dealing with people who have complex jobs, who have complex professions. And then of course they may be part of the sandwich generation where you got to work at work, and then you got to come home, and then you're on another double shift with taking care of your family, with taking care of your parents, your spouse, different things of that nature. So we wanted to make this as plain English, as I say, as plain as I possibly can, which is why I chose the ultimate format, using the original Blackboard setting instead of going to Ultra, because I wanted everything to be nice, clean, colorful. Each module, like I mentioned before, has emojis, it has a code name, and it has a color. This helps me to keep everything organized, and this is also based on the things that will be covered in each module. So again, you have the same thing with module 2, the same thing, a little more resources. You have here another particular training of mine that I did through Zoom. And here we're going over media training, which is where you're going to see me. Look at me. Oh, look how cute I am. So you see me, and of course, me being my bubbly self, I end up, this is like Inception now. So I'm doing a presentation of me doing a presentation of some other things I'm going to show. I went over the do's and don'ts of media training, of how to respond to media if you were ever interviewed. I went over how to conduct yourself verbally, and then what type of nonverbal communication you need to have. I used some examples from some courses that I've done previously that are closed. These courses are no longer live, they're no longer active, which means no one is participating in them. For some assignments that I used, or some to again show and demonstrate the same concepts I'm teaching within this course that I've also taught currently in my line of work. And then also when I was able to go ahead and take these examples of these assignments, that I was able to again demonstrate to a whole new set of students, which is again the potential students for this particular project, the do's and don'ts in conversational context when it comes to interviews. And so I took 2 separate projects. And so the first one, as you can see, is another blog post and assignment my students had to do. And the first one that they did was, and I always use examples from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, DC Comics. I use things and people that are in pop culture that I know my students are familiar with. I use these examples often. So the first example I used within this blog post was to dissect the body language that at this time Robert Downey Jr. starred in The Age of Ultron. This is back in 2015 when he had that very, 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 very awkward interview where he decided to walk out of an interview. And so I asked my students then, I said, you guys tell me, did he or the interviewer violate any type of conversational rules or contextual rules? And so I decided to, within this particular presentation, to show that video again and to dissect this particular actor's body language in this very tense and awkward interview. So once I did all of that, I said, well, okay, let me go back and use the same format where in another course that is not closed, I took the same format, same type of blog assignment, but switched it and said, you guys watch this Gayle King and Lisa Leslie interview that was conducted shortly after the tragic death of NBA star, one of the GOATs, Kobe Bryant. And so I said, well, again, did they violate any type of conversational rules or any type of contextual rules? Look at the body language that Lisa Leslie is showing versus what Gayle King is showing. So that was more of the do side. Let's kind of use her as an example, and you mimic what she does, and then of course using it. And of course gotta of course with RDJ being the don't side, you don't want to get up in the middle of an interview if it's making you uncomfortable and it's awkward and it's painful to look at and it's painful to be a part of. I use him as the belt. So I felt this was like the best way to kind of get that point across. So here we go with Lisa Leslie. And so within this particular presentation, which I was so happy to do because I get to talk about verbal and nonverbal communication, which I could spend all day talking about all forms of communication that I'm versed in, because I'm versed in all forms of communication. I was just so happy to do this. And so this was more in depth. It was about an hour to show specifically what you can do, what you shouldn't do if you're ever under fire from an interviewer. and understanding that the interviewers, the journalists, they have a job too. A lot of them is they're there to get the story. And if the story is in part of quote unquote getting your goat, which is getting you to react similar a la RDJ, to getting you to get that juicy story, to getting you to react to that point and you give them what they want, then you have succeeded in giving them what they want. But of course, you have to go back and do damage control, which his camp did shortly after. I don't know, was that necessarily notified by some of the ugly comments that he made about the interviewer versus with Lisa Leslie. She kind of went radio silent. We didn't hear anything from her concerning how she felt about what Gayle King asked her about Kobe Bryant's proclivities and misgivings of things that he was involved in the 2004 court case. So, you know, she didn't get Leslie's goat. Gayle didn't get Leslie's goat. She tried and she switched and she went to another tactic, but she couldn't get her goat. And so I want to prepare my students to say, they say you want to be like MJ, they wanted to be like Michael Jordan and wanted to be like Kobe and all this different stuff. Let's be like Lisa Leslie. Don't have anyone to come get your goat, basically, if you're ever being interviewed. So here you have Module 2 quiz. I'm going to show this very briefly to you, and it may show that I've already completed it. Oh, okay, great. We're going to begin. These are not timed. They will have to, of course, complete this within one sitting. And of course, it states here where the information is going to be taken from. So if we go back to Module 2, of course, I'm not going to complete that. Same thing, quizzes all are worth the same amount of points. So here we have the media training practice. So they're going to conduct mock interviews based on a video that I've done of me pretending to be a reporter from some faux news network. And what they're going to do is once they finish reading all of this, so they have to create a 3 to 5 minute video, a response video of them serving as an interviewee, answering the questions I posed to them as the interviewer. And again, look at me looking so cute. So I was so happy to do this again. And of course, I was putting a little heat on them, nothing too intense. And I just wanted them to go ahead and answer the questions. And then, of course, they would submit this here with the instructions. I told someone once, I said, I'll be an excellent actress because I'm just so animated. I'll be a great interviewer because I'm that animated. So I used to say, hey, I'm animated like a cartoon character, man. And I really am. So you have here the crisis communication planning, because module 3, guess what, is CCP creation. And the CCP is a crisis communication plan, but it's just easier for me to say CCP. And so with this, each module, again, has an image that you would know that module by, and also I did a live lecture breaking down this particular image, which I was so happy to locate, about how to create CCPs. And so with this same thing, live lecture where, of course, I was breaking it down to everybody. This is how you create a CCP. And you can take one particular issue that you create a CCP around and be able to reformat it to deal with 5 other issues. If you have, it's like building a solid foundation from a house. For a house. If you build a solid foundation for a home, it's going to last for a very, very, very long time. And so basically you take that solid foundation of the outline of the CCP and input information you need based on any type of scandal or any type of tragic event that could occur to an organization, and then create another CCP around that. And so within this particular lecture, I was informing my educational participants that you have to think about the worst case scenario of what can happen at your educational institution. You don't want to say, well, that can never possibly happen. Then, if that was the case, then you would never have to create a CCP. But as we can see what's going on with COVID-19, you have to have a crisis communication plan. You literally have to expect the unexpected. You have to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And while preparing for the worst, make sure you get your best on your team to nullify what happens when the worst occurs. And so you literally, and I mentioned within this particular live lecture, is that you have to have the mindset of Bruce Wayne / Batman. And of course, like I said, I mentioned a lot of stuff, using a lot of characters and actors. And so I even brought what I do normally from my line of work. I even did it here within this particular project, which of course, like I said, I'm animated like a cartoon character, man. So this is what I do. I enjoy doing this. And so I mentioned within this live lecture, you have to have the mindset of Batman, Sherlock Holmes, and Detective Adrian Monk to create a great CCP, because you have to think about what the worst thing that could ever happen, the worst scandal that will ever rock your educational institution to its core, the worst thing that could ever damage the image that you produced for your institution, and then how can you nullify, negate, or ease the symptoms of this horrible thing that happened. Prime example, with the COVID-19 pandemic, no one was prepared because this is unprecedented. However, if CCPs were in place in certain institutions, which some are, we can see, and then some aren't, then you'll be able to take that same information, you'll be able to shape it and morph it, make it malleable to fit basically a deadly unknown disease, and be able to fix that and say, well, this is what we're going to do first. And if we need to keep coming back and rectifying it, keep doing press conferences, keep releasing press releases and editing those different statements, as we've seen from Dr. Stuart Bell, from the University of Alabama, to the president of Troy University, to even where I currently work at, even to the president of my soon-to-be alma mater, AUM, things that they have done in order to make sure that they've assured their public, students, their employees, and the community at large and their stakeholders that we value you and we plan to keep you safe, and we vow to keep you safe. If you need to go back and keep releasing press releases and doing press conferences, you're able to, but you have a solid plan in place where you're able to keep going back and changing things, because things keep changing. Governor Ivey just released another safer at home order. Things have to keep being amended. Once you create a CCP, it doesn't necessarily have to be set in stone, but once you practice what to do for one CCP, hey, you can do it for 10 more. It's like riding a bike. They say once you learn, you never forget. And it's true. You may have to dust yourself off. You may be a little rusty, but you never forget how to ride a bike. So, of course, you have here with Module 3, Quiz 3. Same thing is taking information from these two articles that they will see within the provided lecture material, the provided readings. And once you complete this again, if they receive 80% or above, which is at least getting 3 out of 5 questions right, they end up passing. And then once they submit all the necessary assignments, boom, you get your PR certification, right? So you get to be either an independent PR agent if you have to be within your own institution, or you could serve on a board that does public relations or strategic communications, as is typically thought, or brand management, or hey, you can handle your school's social media accounts, which is also very, very awesome. But again, you would know specifically what to do, so you won't have another issue happening like with Tallahassee City School, with Tallahassee in Alabama having that unfortunate incident to occur. Now here with the mock CCP project. Now, of course, we're not, due to the time restraints, we're not going to go through the whole CCP process. It will take well over 30 pages to create one CCP. This is not what I want to do when each module lasts for about a month. We want you to know how to begin to research to create a CCP and having key bits of information in order to create one. This will help you reevaluate the current crisis plan that you may have. All schools, I would assume, have them. It may not be called crisis communications plans, but you have a set of safeguards. For instance, for active shooters, if someone were to get sick, such as flu, and even for COVID-19, or God forbid, if an employee or a student or a parent dies, they have in place what they need to have. I know this for a fact due to me working at the YMCA in Dallas County, and with me being over a specific department where I have to keep children safe, there were books and manuals upon books and manuals on what to do to keep them safe. And I had to go through several trainings in order to do that. So those things are present. They're just kind of scattered everywhere. With the CCP, boom, the first aid kits, you know where to locate those. You know the standards in keeping your students safe. You work through K through 12 or higher ed. You know how to keep your employees safe. You have things on active shooters. You have things about communicable diseases such as COVID-19. You have it if someone, God forbid, passes away at your institution. You have it if your institution experiences a storm. You have these things in place, but they're scattered in different books and notebooks, and they're in different places in different people's departments, in their offices with the door locked and the key thrown away. So with the CCP, you go down one separate manual on how to achieve basically the best way to communicate to your students, employees, stakeholders, their parents, and the community at large if those aforementioned things do occur. So with this, each student will be placed into 4 groups, group A, B, C, and D. Once they do that, they will nominate one person to be the administrator, one person will volunteer. And so each person basically will have to, number one, create a press release. Number 2, end up getting an information log on local and statewide media outlets. Also, number 3, being able to plan where they're going to have a press conference, who's going to be over all that, how will you basically look during the press conference, and number 4, a plan on how your group members will execute this crisis communication plan. Basically, how many times will you practice this a year? How many times a year would this need to be updated? And then, of course, they will submit it here. And this project is, again, worth 50 points just to add the media mock interview training. Well, and so this is where they don't have to do all of this, but I took bits and pieces from this. Again, this is another document from Troy University. I'm cleared to use this by my practicum supervisor. And so they're going to take bits and pieces of this. You're not going to do all of these because each thing that you see is about 21 pages. I remember I did mine was about 23 because some of them I combined. I was trying to work smarter, not harder. And I got a wonderful grade on it because this was a wonderful project that I did. And so when I did mine, I chose suicide because at the time I created this fictitious company for my CCP project where I was the CEO of a public relations firm that managed actors, actresses, entertainers, singers, the like. And which I myself was a client. And so I said, well, one of our starlets unfortunately committed suicide. So I had press release and everything done where I signed everything and said, well, if this ever comes to fruition in my real life, I know exactly what to do, which I hope the suicide part doesn't, not the part where I'm able to be the CEO of my own PR firm, which is something I wanted to do for a while. So here, each group is going to choose which of these crises that they're going to cover within their CCP. And so let's just say they make one for workplace violence. Well, once they come up with the building blocks to make it and they actually decide to create one in their own institutions for workplace violence, they could take that same CCP and say, look, we're going to have to change it if there happen to be a fatality from workplace violence. Let's just say a hurricane occurred, and that's actually what happened here in Selma, Alabama, which I currently reside, where we were hit pretty hard with Hurricane Zeta. And of course, my place of employment, Wallace Community College, WCCS, had to keep releasing statements and emails to students and the like and their employees to let them know work's still closed because the power's out. Luckily, everything got back on, but of course, I had to go back and do my own damage control and say, hey, because my power was out, your power was out, your instructor is going to let you complete these particular assignments 3 weeks later. So, hey, I'm that type of instructor because I'm that type of woman. So anyway, with everything having been done, and of course, they will submit everything here, and everything, of course, will be laid out. When it comes to participation, they will receive this message. Congratulations, you have completed the Educator's PR Training Ground Course. You are now on your way to become a full-fledged PR agent that can represent your respective company, industry, or organization. Please contact your administrator to receive your certification of completion that can be listed on your resume. And I do list here that in order to successfully pass this course, you must score 80% above on each quiz and turn in each component of several projects that will be assigned in this course. Technically, they have 2 components of assignments to submit, and then they have 3 quizzes. Again, trying to make it like the city certification where after you read and you go through the videos that's provided, you take a quiz that's no more than 5 questions. Some of them may have been 6, but about 3 to 4 to 5 each module, and it's 18 modules. And a lot of modules were review modules. And so again, I'm trying to make it where you can do this on your own time and receive the certification. And boom, you know what to do. So here we have all the groups listed. They're color coded just like the modules. Group A being the red group, Group B being the green group, Group C being the yellow group, and Group D being the orange group. Why did I do this? I thought of a traffic light and then a traffic cone. It was just the best way for me to organize it in my mind. If I were to have about 60 or so people, how would I assign them here in each group? Or let's just say I had 20. Which type of group would you be assigned to in each color? Doesn't necessarily have any bearing, but that is how I identify the group. If I hear, oh, I'm in group B, you're the green group. Okay, so I know specifically where to go. Everything's going to be green with you guys. And hey. So with that having been said, of course, there's no course discussion, and then you have tools and help. But this is pretty much what this course looks like. I'm very proud to have done this. I'm so very happy that Dr. Lewis is my practicum supervisor, able to speak with him quite often about the course. Everything was greenlit by him because he knows what type of instructor I am and my diverse background in communications, human environmental sciences, and then now instructional technology. And I'm so happy to be able to present this course and possibly be launching it in the near future. This has been a wonderful academic journey that I have been on, and I am sad that now it's coming to a close. But I will never forget everything that I have learned, and I will take this with me wherever I go in my next journey, in my next academic journey, in my next occupational journey. I will always have these projects I can always use to show, of course, proof of mastery, just like I did with my live text portfolio, and use that as well to show demonstration of my skills that I have gained here at Auburn University, Montgomery. So with that having been said, thank you guys for watching this presentation as my third and final reflection for this particular project. I know it was lengthy, but hey, I wanted to make sure that I was super duper thorough. And so again, thank you guys again, and be on the lookout for this course being launched at an educational institution near you. Thank you so very much.